Today on Santa Monica Update.
The results of the 2012 Santa Monica homeless count are in. We'll have the numbers.
2 New York Times best-selling authors whose work have been made into blockbuster Hollywood movies. Coming up next, a night to be remembered.
Santa Monica's Museum of Flying is set for takeoff. I'm Yana Kay, and I'll have the grand opening ceremony next.
We have these reports and more news about the city of Santa Monica, so keep watching. I'm Keena Chin.
Santa Monica Update, your source for local news in Santa Monica. Santa Monica Update starts now.
Welcome to Santa Monica Update. The Santa Monica City Attorney's Office has obtained a judgment and injunction against Goldline International, Inc., one of the nation's largest gold coin dealers. The injunction requires Goldline to change its unfair sales practices and provide accurate price information to consumers. It also requires Goldline to refund up to $4.5 million to former customers and to pay $800,000 into a fund for future claims. The court has appointed a monitor to ensure Goldline's compliance. The injunction is part of an agreement between prosecutors and the gold dealer in a lawsuit filed by the City Attorney's Consumer Protection Unit. The City Attorney's Office had previously filed criminal charges against Goldline, which have now been dismissed. To learn more about our Consumer Protection Unit, go to smgov.net/departments/CPU. The results of the 2012 homeless count are in. The numbers have been on a downward slide for some time. Has it continued? Reporter Tamara Henry has the answers.
The city of Santa Monica conducted its annual street-by-street enumeration of homeless individuals. More than 200 community volunteers and city staff took to the streets and counted homeless one by one.
Well, the results were we counted 769 people, which is a very, very slight increase from last year. I think it's worth noting, though, that the increase were in shelters, so they did have a bed that night, albeit not all permanent, but and that the street count where people are outside, braving the elements, did remain flat.
The homeless count collects critical data that is used to identify our homeless population, leverage federal, state, and local resources, and quantify the effects of our policies and programs in addressing homelessness.
I don't think we're going to see significant decreases in the next couple of years for a couple of reasons. One, the economy is still very bad. Remember that the last count was done in 2009, which was the year after the recession hit. We've had now several years of recession, and there are more people that are actually, if you look at the national trends, homelessness is actually going up. It's increasing. So the fact that Santa Monica is really maintaining a level in terms of street homelessness is actually very good news.
The results were analyzed and the findings were presented by the Social Services Commission.
What this means is that the city's programs are working largely, that there's more work to be done, and that it gives the providers in the city more information to more effectively target their resources.
But the bottom line is that success is measured by reducing street homelessness. Reporting for Santa Monica Update, I'm Tamara Henry.
To find out how you can volunteer to help end homelessness, go to smgov.net/homelessness or to their Facebook page, Santa Monica Addressing Homelessness. Santa Monica's Citywide Reads is a community program that brings residents and visitors together by urging them to read the same book, then talk about it. It's that simple. The book chosen for this year's Citywide Reads is The Lady in the Lake by famed mystery author Raymond Chandler. Greg Goldner was at Lincoln Middle School Auditorium for this year's kickoff event, where residents and visitors were treated to quite an evening.
Tonight, Santa Monica is celebrating the 10th anniversary of Citywide Reads, and they were lucky enough to wrangle 2 of the hottest selling authors in the entire business, Michael Conley and Robert Crace. Much like the saying from the classic movie Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. Well, if you get 2 of the world's top authors together, they will come. And they did by the hundreds, filling the Lincoln Middle School Auditorium for a night with Michael Conley and Robert Crace, talking about their work and the influence of Citywide Read's chosen author, Raymond Chandler.
First of all, anything that makes people want to read books is great, but this happens to be a night about one of my personal heroes. I think I might not be a writer if it was not for Raymond Chandler, so when they asked me to take part in this, there wasn't any hesitation. Of course I would do it.
I fell in love with crime fiction through Raymond Chandler. The first crime novel I ever read was his book, The Little Sister. I was 15 years old. I was in a used secondhand bookstore, And the only reason I bought it is it had a picture of a really hot woman on the cover. But I fell in love with Chandler with that book. I fell in love with the whole notion of Los Angeles and detective fiction. And you could say, in a way, he then guided the rest of my life and certainly my professional career.
After nearly an hour of discussion about Chandler as well as their work, along with some pretty entertaining Q&A with the audience, the two special guests were nice enough to sit down and sign autographs for all of those in attendance. Ken Taylor drove all the way from Phoenix, Arizona to be a part of this special event, and needless to say, he wasn't disappointed.
The Santa Monica Friends of the Library did an incredible job. I've been a collector for 30 years, and I don't remember ever seeing two authors together that weren't from the same publisher before. That's a major accomplishment for the organization.
Even loyal Conley and Crace fan, Santa Monica City Manager Rod Gould couldn't wait for his chance to meet the famed authors.
I'm very proud of the Santa Monica Public Library for bringing these two top-notch crime authors to town, and they brought people from 3 states around California here to hear them both together. And the fact that Santa Monica reads and the community reads and discusses, this library system is doing what every library should be doing.
Anytime we can have an event like this that redirects people or just reminds them of the power of just good old-fashioned storytelling, it's a really great thing to do.
It doesn't get much better than that. It was an evening full of laughs and entertainment with 2 of today's best-selling authors. Our hats are off to Robert Graves and the City of Santa Monica for bringing these 2 iconic mystery authors to our stage. With ongoing events throughout the program, Citywide Reads runs through March 31st, so there's still plenty of time to get on board. If you'd like to find out more about Citywide Reads 2012 and other events, check out the Santa Monica Public Library website at smpl.org. Construction has begun on Santa Monica's Civic Center project called The Village. Located next to Rand and within walking distance of the pier, Promenade, Main Street, parks, and beaches, the new development will be a community-friendly set of urban, mixed-use, mixed-income condos and affordable apartments. There will be 158 luxury condos and 160 affordable apartments, along with retail shops and restaurants. It's projected to open in early 2014. To watch the progress, just go to smconstructs.org. Local merchants who participate in the 3-year-old Buy Local program here in Santa Monica are reporting heightened visibility in the community as a good reason to participate. Look for new Buy Local programs when the March 17th weekend rolls around. That's when the LA Marathon will bring upwards of 50,000 people into our city. So the city is declaring the March 17th weekend as a Buy Local weekend. Where to go, you say? Go to buylocalsantamonica.com and find your store. After a 10-year hiatus, Santa Monica's Museum of Flying is ready for takeoff. The new 22,000 square foot facility recently reopened and welcomed its first crowd of visitors. Yana Kay takes us to the grand opening.
Kane Lisker and his 2 kids have been waiting months for the Museum of Flying to reopen, and that day is finally here.
From the day he was old enough to look up into the sky, he's been amazed with airplanes.
After closing its doors 10 years ago, the Museum of Flying is back in business as dozens of community members came out for the official ribbon-cutting ceremony at the Santa Monica Airport.
But is an opportunity for the community to revisit its own history and the history of Southern California, because aviation has been central to the growth of Southern California and has provided thousands and tens of thousands of jobs.
In addition to planes, the new 22,000 square foot facility also features artwork and displays about Douglas aircraft. And even former Douglas aircraft employees came out to see the new place.
It's real good, because this is what the people need to come in and look at and see.
Now, the museum features more than 12 dozen historical aircraft, like this Yak-3 behind me. This is a Soviet fighter plane that saw 14 victories during World War II. The museum also features replicas of a Wright brothers flyer and a Lockheed Vega, a type of plane flown by Amelia Earhart. What do you think about all these planes?
Pretty cool.
I think it's a great educational opportunity for kids and for adults. We've been coming here and watching airplanes. I took my son here to watch them take off, and now it's in the context of a museum here, and he can see the history of the airlines and of airplanes. I think it's fantastic.
The museum soon plans to launch the California Aviation Hall of Fame and expects to have about 24 inductees, including Douglas and Howard Hughes. For Santa Monica City TV, I'm Yana Kay.
The museum plans to start taking reservations soon for school tours. For more information on the museum, visit museumofflying.com. Rosie's Girls is an award-winning and honored school break program for girls in the 5th grade. It offers challenging activities exploring trade work and other non-traditional activities. There will be 3 sessions happening this year. The first session is coming up quickly now. The Rosie's Girls Spring Challenge 2012 will be taking place April 9th to 13th at the City Maintenance Yards located at 2500 Michigan Avenue. It's open to 5th grade girls who are interested in meeting challenges and finding out how much they can achieve. So if you're a 5th grade girl, you might want to ask your parents if you can attend. Rosie's Girls will also offer 2 3-week sessions in the summer. Generous financial assistance is available to qualifying families and payment plans are available on request. For more information about Rosie's Girls, visit rosiesgirls.smgov.net or call 310-458-8688. The Montana branch of the Santa Monica Public Library is open again. It has had a general freshening and overall upgrade with new carpeting and paint, new shelving, added book displays, a more efficient service desk, and more self-checkout stations. There's now additional seating in the teen area, and the internet-accessible computers are in a new configuration on the adult side. City Librarian Greg Mullins says that Montana area neighbors have been active supporters and users of the branch, and he invites them to drop in and see what's been done. An open house is planned for the end of March to celebrate the Montana Avenue branch's new look and feel. Back in 1940, Fortune magazine hired Ansel Adams to photograph Los Angeles. The Los Angeles Public Library, which received those photos from Ansel Adams personally, has now posted many of them on the web. Here he captured a group of friends on the pier. Then he caught a wave. I wonder if he had one of those hot dogs. And here he perfectly pictured the boardwalk on a dreary winter day. These are just some of the historically interesting shots in this collection. You can find these and quite a few more at lapl.org. Click on Browse the Photo Collection and search Ansel Adams. Well, that's it for this edition of Santa Monica Update. I'm Keena Chen, and for all of us at City TV, thanks for watching. Check it out at the Santa Monica Public Library. Did the piece on the Museum of Flying catch your eye? Then you want to stop by the library to check out some cool stuff on those flying machines. For the history buff out there, we have titles like Orville's Aviators and the oldie but goodie, The Flying Machine, Its Evolution Through the Ages. Or you can check out the feature film Amelia, starring Hilary Swank. A book with a snappy title, Why Don't Jumbo Jets Flap Their Wings, is about the difference between flying animals and machines. It might just be the ticket. Or how about preparing for one of the many flying tests with Private Pilot Test Prep 2006. Or you can get your tiny tots off on the same track as you with the book Flight. Who knew there were so many possibilities? For these and other books, audiobooks, CDs, and DVDs, check out our online catalog at smpl.org.